Right, so many of you guys are going to be buying the new iPhone 14 series, and so you may be wondering which one should I get? Well, let's delve into my buyer's guides and my advice when buying these devices. So the first thing you should be aware of is the 14 Pros have a much better chip. So Apple usually gives us the same chip across the regular and Pro models, but that's not the case this year because for the first time Apple's giving us two different chips in the same series. Now yes, I know in terms of data use the regular 14s should be fine for the most part, but the better chip in the iPhone 14 Pros could of course give you longer support. And the second thing to note is of course, promotion is still exclusive to the Pros. So yes, Apple unfortunately did not give the regular models any sort of refresh update. They still have 60Hz panels, and so for those who want a buttery smooth experience, it might be worth getting the Pros instead for the better display because yes, you can tell a difference for the most part. My third point is the fact you don't need the Pro Max anymore for the biggest iPhone available because Apple now sells another Max iPhone, the 14 Plus, and this should very much give you the benefits of a Max iPhone, like of course a massive display and really good battery life. And so yes, for those who just want that from a Max iPhone, you can save some cash and get the 14 Plus. Now the pill chip cutout on the Pros might suggest the front-facing camera on those models is a lot better than the regular models, but that's not the case. Apple's given us the same front-facing camera upgrades across the lineup, so for those who care about that, again, you can save your cash and get the regular model instead. Now for those coming from Android, I'm sure you guys want an always on display, so there's something to note regarding this feature, and that is, it's a Pro exclusive. And yes, I know some of you guys might be wondering, why does the rest of the lineup not have this feature? Well, of course, do remember the Pros have LTPO panels that go down to 1 Hz, and so this does minimize the battery usage by the always on display. Now regarding battery life, I know Apple is touting the Pro Max as the battery life champ, and I'm sure it's going to be great, but because there is now an always on display with the Pros, I do think that's going to slightly ruin the battery life on the Pro models, and so that's why I think the 14 Plus might be the battery champ, since of course it has a 60Hz panel, no always on display, and so that might help it get better battery life in terms of real life usage. And so again, if you only care about battery life, definitely consider the 14 Plus. Oh, by the way, the weight has increased slightly with the Pros, and actually, fun fact, the 14 Pro is heavier than the 14 Plus. So yes, for those who want lighter phones that are more comfortable in the hand, do get the regular models instead. Now moving on, if you're a huge camera nerd or just want major camera upgrades, the Pros are really the ones to get this year because Apple's basically given us all the big upgrades with the Pro models, new sensors, new features. These cameras will be a huge upgrade, and that's not the case for the regular models. And actually, regarding the cameras with the Pros, with all these upgrades to video, of course, do remember the file sizes, especially with ProRes, is gonna be massive. And so make sure to get one of the highest storage tiers, because if you want to use ProRes, I do recommend getting 512 or 1TB. Now for those who've had RAM issues with the 4GB regular iPhones in the past, there is now good news because you do not have to buy the Pros. All the models have 6GB as standards, but do remember the Pros do get LPDDR5 RAM, though to be honest, in terms of data use, I doubt you're going to see much of a difference. And also Apple's marketing might suggest the Pros are getting better speeds, but that's really not the case. Connectivity wise, these phones are basically the same across the board, so that means the same X65 modem that supports more bands, gives you better speeds, and also is going to be more efficient, and also you get the satellite connectivity feature, which of course could save your life. If you are in danger, you can text anyone on the planet without cell service. Though do remember right now, unfortunately, this is only available in the US and Canada, so of course, for the rest of the world, I guess we have to wait. By the way, if you do hate massive camera bumps, definitely avoid the Pro models because Apple's further increased the modules on the back with the Pro models, but again, Apple is giving us upgrades to justify this. Now for those wondering if there's any differences between the cameras on the 14 and 14 Pro Max, thankfully that's not the case. So yes, in the past Apple has given bigger sizes, better camera features, but that's not the case with the 14 Pro series. You basically get the same feature sets, except the battery life and the display with the 14 Pro and Pro Max. Now, I do think most of you guys should avoid one model, and that is the regular iPhone 14, because this really is not a massive upgrade over the 13, so of course, definitely do consider the 13 Pro from last year from third parties, since that's now around the same price and gives you way better features. Now, the next thing to note are MagSafe limitations, because number one, the cameras are so massive on the 14 Pro that this might not work with all accessories, but also do remember that Apple's first-party MagSafe accessories offer better charging speeds than, of course, third-party accessories. Also, if you consider getting a thick case, make sure it has MagSafe compatibility, because without that, it might not work with MagSafe. Now, I did see some confusion regarding this, and so my next point is to clarify that no, eSIM-only iPhones are only coming to the US, and so if you're based there, make sure you know this before buying, but of course, for the rest of the world, you do get a SIM card slot with the 14 series. By the way, I had a question regarding this. Are we going to see the notification animations the 14 Pro has on the regular 14s? And no, unfortunately, that's part of the dynamic island, so we're not seeing any fancy animations with the regular models. And finally, for those not in the US, make sure to check the prices for your region, because Apple's given customers outside the US massive price increases. Here in the UK, the Pros are £150 more expensive, and that is quite a massive increase. And so yeah, with the media reporting on the US prices for the most part, definitely check prices in your region, because they could be worse than you expect. So let's now delve into each specific iPhone 14 model and of course, determine which one you should get. So beginning with the regular 14, who is this for? Well, to be honest, I'm not too sure myself, because do remember, like I said, this does not have a ton of upgrades over the regular 13, so of course you can just save your cash and get last year's 13 or 13 Pro instead. So moving on to the 14 Plus, who is this for? Well, of course, for those who want the max display and the max battery life, but of course without the massive asking price, this phone is perfect because it now gives you those features at a sub $1,000 price. And yeah, I think this is going to be a very popular device. Now moving on to the 14 Pro, this clearly is for those wanting the best camera experience and the best iPhone experience, but still want a relatively portable device. And do remember, battery life is still very good with the regular Pro, so for those not wanting a massive brick to carry around that is the Pro Max, the Pro would be better suited. But of course, there will be some wanting the best, baddest iPhone experience, and that is the Pro Max. The 13 Pro Max was the battery champ last year, so of course, I'm sure the 14 Pro Max is going to follow suit in this department. Those are my tips before you buy, guys, but of course, let me know in the comments below which iPhone model do you plan to get. Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the link above on details regarding the iPad Pro M2, and on that note, see ya peeps.